Hello, and welcome to Fun Dust? From Shots? Welcome to From Dust. We're doing a special, very lonely episode of Spoken Magic. As you may notice from looking around the screen, we're missing some people today. Don't know where they are. Checked under the couch cushions and they weren't in there. No, Summer is getting her ass kicked by a baby, and Adam had some family stuff coming up. So here we are, just you and me, Kiana. How you been?
Been pretty good. It's only been a few days since our last Spoken Magic game.
Mm-hmm. That's what, Tuesday?
Yeah. So when I was just like, oh, it's just gonna be me and Dylan. Oh, here come the knives.
Yes.
Stab. Yeah. So, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm expecting tonight. So, it's gonna be good.
Oh, look at that! I forgot to change
I just look
the
in the
stream
chat
images.
and I just say, "Yay, knives!"
Yay! Everybody likes a good stabbing.
I mean,
It's
we had some pretty sweet, happy stuff happen.
mm-hmm.
in our last Spoken Magic game, so clearly, they noted that, like, my usual brand is no more smooches, now murder. And, we didn't have that last game. So,
Fair.
I guess, we're gonna have little less smooches and perhaps more death.
Probably. I don't know. That's the thing, right? Is there's no way to really know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Part of what I'm super stoked about is, so Kia and I have talked about this on Discord, but I've barely touched on it in the Twitter announcements. So we're playing Spoken Magic tonight, but we're playing it in the same setting as From Dust. And so stuff that happens here might end up affecting the main game. Who knows? So I'm interested to see what happens, because with the cards in Spoken Magic, most of them are wilderness, so I don't feel like we're gonna do anything that like royally fucks over the campaign and there's like, oops, we shouldn't have done that. But I think because the scale of Spoken Magic is so large, right, the kind of magic that you can get away with in this game is so massive, it ends up being like surprisingly fitting for Bondsmagi, because like part of the world building of Bondsmagi is like, yeah, they're effectively bonded into this order and they can never leave, and they only cast magic when the guild gets paid to do stuff. But that comes partnered with so much knowledge and training that pretty much every Bondsmagi is like this world-shatteringly powerful caster. So I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting, because have you done a 2-player game of Spoken Magic before?
No, I've watched a 2-player game. I watched Jess play with Lynn Morris, who's in chat a lot. Oh god, I don't know how days of the week work anymore, so I don't remember which day.
It would have been Wednesday, because
Woo!
we had the game on Tuesday and they were talking about doing it next day.
Right.
I'm pretty
Right.
sure. It's either
There we
Wednesday
go.
or Thursday, but it was like...
One of those days. It was a
One
day
of those
between
days.
Tuesday and today.
Yeah, but,
Anyway.
the fact that, we were talking about it, it gets
Mhm.
a lot sadder
Yeah.
with less people, because the chances of succeeding is much lower and the chance of failing is much higher.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily failure,
It's,
right?
it's
And
the partial success.
yes, it's bittersweet. And that was very intentional. There was a moment while I was writing Spoken Magic, like, I wasn't an idiot, right? I didn't say every time you get a 6 you succeed, and on all the others you just get and then afterwards figured out that ends up with different statistical success for larger groups or smaller groups. I realized it as I was writing it, and I was like, I had this conscious moment where I asked myself, do I want to change this? do I want to find a way to scale it to larger and smaller groups? Or am I happy with it being different? And I think this is an important game design step that a lot of people don't feel super comfortable with, is like, it's not just recognizing a problem and then doing something about it. It's recognizing a thing and then asking yourself if it's actually a problem. And I decided, like, no, I'm okay with that, because part of the core concept of spoken magic is, like, it's harder to do stuff on your own. It's harder to make big change when you don't have help. And even though it's a very introspective game where, you know, you start the game being told something about yourself and then end the game deciding what that is, like, even though it's this introspective, self-focused experience, it still very much is about finding that space for yourself in a group of people. And then I went on and traipsed on through the rules after that. But yeah, it's true. It's a lot less likely that we're gonna manage to pull off everything that our characters want to pull off tonight.
Yeah. Oops.
But yeah, that's fine. It's okay. It just means that our lives will get more complicated as we go on.
It's fine. It's just more knives.
Yes.
More stabs.
More knives, more stabs, or potentially not. Who knows? Who knows? We might get lucky. Our characters might just not care.
We'll see. We'll see how the dice roll and how Eric feels today.
Eric. All right. Why don't we start off and start making some characters?
Yeah.
I remember how this works. He lied.
We have to pull our Arcanum cards.
I think do we start with a name?
We might start with a name.
Hold on, I'm opening the PDF to the game that I wrote.
I mean,
with a page and a half of rules.
I think we might have drawn Arcanum first, because then I made Ember after. But I don't know for sure.
Once you have gathered and arranged the materials, play begins with each player writing down a sorceress name.
Okay, we do name first.
Upon their card. Okay, I do have handouts for us in the Roll20 here.
I have grabbed that. Ooh.
Who's you know what? I think I'm gonna cheat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go open the Roll20 for From Dust and use my name generator that I have in there. Because I can do that. Do you want me to roll up a name for you too?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just give me a name.
What kind of person is your character? Are they an elf, a human, a dwarf?
Let's go with a human, since I play an elfy boy in From Dust.
Alright. So, boop. Let's go with... I'm gonna be a human. Do I have human ancestry, or am I like half elf or part elf or something? I think I'm from the southern, like, desert region.
Ooh, fun.
Which we haven't really interacted with yet.
No.
In the main game.
We know that there is an elven city down there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And you want to be a human from, like, main central region?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Your choices here are Reinhard Silverstein or Selma Adler. And I'm going to be Edelwolf Malecki.
Yeah, so Selma Adler?
Yeah.
Cool.
Alright.
A very sorceress name.
Extremely. The most sorceress. And then I am... Was it Edelwolf? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Edelweiss, but sharper.
A little more growly.
Yeah. And then I guess next step after that will be Arcanum card, right? Yeah, so while I update the overlay, why don't you go ahead and draw an Arcanum.
I just need to draw one card. What do I have? My words are restorative.
Ooh, interesting.
For Bondsmagi, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're like a Helium Mage.
Yeah.
Or is it not people restoration? Is it like places and objects and...
Yeah, that's interesting.
Alright, I will draw an Arcanum card real quick and see what I get. Draw. Oh, whoops. Oh, great. Your words are profane.
So we have sweet. We have healer.
I think I secretly might practice dark magic.
Ooh. Yikes.
That's gonna not go great.
Oh yeah, now so you secretly practice dark magic. I'm gonna make a super light
No.
magic character.
Oh god. Oh god, this is gonna be bad. Shit.
Dylan, I don't know what you expected here.
I mean, you're right. All right, names are updated. Okay. So once we have our Arcanum, we'll share our names and decide who goes first by the most arcane means at my disposal. Did I move my tarot cards again? I did. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw 2 cards.
Okay.
I'm gonna draw 2 cards. You can pick. Do you want the first card or the second card?
We'll go with the first card.
Okay. And then we will compare the 2. Holy shit! Danny, thank you so much for the raid.
Whee!
Holy crapanoly, you came just in time. Character creation with 2 players is real short, so we're almost done with that.
We're on our way.
Alright, you wanted the first card?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was the plan here is to compare the suit, or not suit, but the ranking. I don't know what words are used for cards.
Yeah.
So the first card was the 3 of Wands. The
Okay.
second card, which is the deer-headed dude from Night Vale,
Ooh.
and the second card was the 4 of Wands, which I don't remember enough about Night Vale to remember which character this is supposed to be. Alright, so that means I will go first. Once this has been done, share your names. We know what our names are. Decide who goes first. We just did that. On your turn, ask each player to tell you one thing about their character. So Selma, you are a Bondsmagi that focuses on restoration. This kind of magic, like healing magic, is usually the domain of divine casters, right? People that get their magic from their faith. The church is all about it. Not so much a huge Bondsmagi thing, a Bondsmage thing. What drew you to that kind of magic in the first place?
Ooh. I think it's the idea that, you know, you don't have to. The whole like Bondsmagi thing is like magic has to be controlled in a certain way, and that has to be. And most of it is pretty destructive. It's very much like eliminate these people or reduce this harm or whatever. And I think for Selma, it's kind of this perhaps idea of trying to find another creative way around it without needing to perhaps inflict harm to do so. So it's this kind of like more pacifist way, I think.
Okay. Go ahead and write that down on your card. And then you can ask me a question.
Yeah, so you are a secret practicer of...
I'm just a normal bonds mage. I don't know what you're talking
You're
about.
a total normal bond mage. But considering what type you were drawn to, how have you managed to keep it hidden?
I think there was a time early in Adolf's life where, when he was taken from his family by the Bondsmagi and inducted into the order, he was an apprentice directly to another Bondsmage, sort of outside of White Spire Academy in some smaller enclave elsewhere in the region. And while he was there, his instructor largely taught him destructive magic, taught him how to control fire, how to recombine matter, that sort of thing. But his master, his instructor, happened to be studying these old, ancient, dark rituals, and Adolf found his books in his teacher's study, and started studying out of them, until eventually his instructor went too far, practiced magics too dark and too selfish, and became overwhelmed by the evil in his soul, became a demon, and Adolf destroyed him. And Adolf has just been playing off ever since that his master did something wrong, but that he stuck to his studies. He understood the importance of the Bondsmagi as an order, and that he would never have been swayed in the same way.
Interesting.
Does that answer your question?
That does.
Okay. I'm writing down his master studied dark magic, and he has pinned all suspicion on the now dead Bondsmage. Alright. And since there's only two of us, that's pretty much it. We need words now. So
Yay,
hide the
words.
Arcanum deck, and then we can each I will deal out 6 cards to each of us
Cool.
for our words. I don't want to do everyone because I don't want to give the game camera cards. 6 cards to me, and deal 6 cards to Kiana. Sorry, chat, no cards for you.
No, none for chat.
Alright, let's see. Ooh, I've got some fun words.
Ooh, I got some new ones that I haven't seen in previous games before. Yeah. I haven't seen Alka before.
Ah, yeah, that was actually, I think that was one of the first ones that I wrote, if I remember correctly. I got a bunch of words that I haven't had that y'all have had. I got throughs, which just phonetically sounds appropriate.
Yeah, I've gotten through so many times at this point, whatever reason. Okay.
All right, my words are profane, and I'm going with the more demonic meaning this time.
Wee.
So. All right. So, Tis Cimarron throws Yarun Ezer and Dune. Thruz is going to be Hellfire.
Oh, God. Meanwhile, I've got stuff like mend, purify, alchemy.
Oh no.
We're going head first into this.
Yaroon is going to be bargain. Let's see. What else can we do here? I'm gonna need soul in here somewhere, right? See, Tiz will be soul. Ezer will be tarnish. Cimarron will be sacrifice. And Andun. Ooh. Andun will be unravel.
Funny, I literally just wrote rap.
Perfect. The perfect duo. I can't believe the Bondsmagi didn't put us together before. Our magic is so suited for each other.
Alright, I just need one more. Mend, purify, dispel, alchemy, rap. I guess heal. Whee!
Yeah, Julie, this is the first time I've seen. I don't know if saying I've seen, but this is the first time of games that I have participated in or seen that profane has been interpreted as specifically like evil,
demons,
demonic. But I specifically wrote that Arcanum so that it could have multiple readings, but also one of them could just be demons.
And like we have demons very much as a canon in From Dust.
Yeah, although actually I'm gonna change Hellfire because hell doesn't exist in From Dust.
True.
There is no hell. There's just earth. Ooh. Thruz will be guilt.
Oh. Jesus Christ. So
Cheery, joyful.
Oh no, we're gonna have the good old light dark duo.
Yay.
Whee!
Alright. Let me just get the overlay set up so that people can see. Alright, so the next step is we need a home. In a physical version of this game, we would grab the bottom card of the deck, but honestly,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't actually change anything. It's just fun to make players do specific shit with the cards. So our home is Whispering Fjord. Ooh.
Great.
I think we might be starting in the northeast over by Cape Symbol, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
Which just makes this so much better.
That's great. No, like there's a elf boy there.
Well, and his family.
And his family.
Okay, so before the journey can begin, you need a place to journey from your home. Draw the bottom card of the location deck. Take turns describing an aspect of this home and why you are leaving. Once you all know your home, you must leave it. Your journey starts with the first turn. So, Whispering Fjord, I think is it's an old keep, sort of on the northern edge of the region, that back before the Reformation sort of stood at the border between the nation states down here and there was one, I think it was Dobovin to the north, and like the dwarves further north from there. So it's like it sits in this fjord that is the shift from land or what used to be the shift from land shipping from those northern areas into sea shipping. Like, people used to come here with carts and load everything up onto a boat and be like, go off. But then with the Reformation, that sort of commerce slowed down and stopped happening. So now this place is just abandoned. And we've got, obviously, a tower, because we're mages, and mages have to have towers. And I've, at no point on From Dust, or even in the home game that started the setting, have I ever described the interior of a tower. So who knows if they're actually the same size on the inside or anything. It's a mystery. But Bondsmagi being in towers is definitely a thing. So we've obviously got a tower there, but I think we just have this like ghost of a town around us. As for why we're leaving, well, let's tie it into something we know in the campaign. They recently discovered that there's this weave, right? This magical weave that ties all of magic together. That sort of is the source of arcane magic in Kulimba. So maybe we're being sent out like on this meandering path to try and find where that is. Or at least some clue to it. How about you? What do you got? Whispering Fjord.
I think it gets its name of the Whispering because the sea breezes that go through here, through the towers and the structures from land to sea, never sound just like winds. It always sounds like talking, but always like in a very hushed tone. You kind of like, if you've lived there long enough, you get used to it, but it's always for people who traveled through or newcomers to the Bondsmagi is always unsettling because it always sounds like somebody's like right by your ear trying to tell you something that you can never quite catch. As for why we're leaving, I think that, just tie in what I just said, the whispering has become much louder and much more clear recently. We're actually catching snippets of words, which seem to hint towards what the whole weave thing, and seems to be kind of tie into that. And it's kind of maddening. It's not great in general, but also now it's like this like, hello,
because spellcasters in Kulimba don't have enough whispering going on in their lives right now. No. This is an opportunity to reveal that every spellcaster in Kulimba is having the same nightmares that Vori was having before he died, and Farron is still having, of this dark, shadowy figure. And that means our characters are no different. We're dealing with it just the same.
Dealing with that, and then just like the general, like, the whispers are no longer whispering.
That's concerning. Okay, why don't we just take our first turn? So I will draw us a location card. And where are we going? We are going to, let me get this bigger on screen, Harrow's Hall. Ooh, we haven't gotten this card before. Harrow's Hall. Why we linger. So I think Harrow's Hall, Harrow is this old man that lives in a small compound in the frontier space between the more settled areas of the region and the wilderness of the mountains. His family has lived there for generations since before the Reformation, just sort of living off the land. And I think because of that, his family and Harrow specifically knows a lot about the history of Kalimba. They've managed to escape a lot of the turmoil and the politicizing from many factions, and just sort of has sat and observed, obviously with their own perspective and biases. And so I think we go to Harrow's Hall first, hoping that he will have heard some old myth or rumor of a place that might hint at this ancient magic, the source that we're looking for. But why we linger? I think maybe there's something about it. I think, yeah, Edelwolf came from a rural background before he was taken, and I think something about being in this secluded space, in this like very family-driven location, speaks to him, and he's reluctant to move on and get back on the road. I'm curious, does Selma like, how do you respond to that? Are you like, come on, we need to go, or?
I think Selma, for a while, kind of just lets Adewolf be. Understands that sometimes people just need a little more time, especially since we're leaving home and everything. But I think after, a period of time, she's kind of like, hey, so we should probably get going.
Well, perhaps if we stay longer, we can discover more. I know Harrow knows much, and given time, he might open up.
Well, it seems we've tried quite a bit, but now I'm sure we could discover things on the road.
Right. Right. I don't want to pass up on opportunity if it is here.
Right. Well, I mean, he told us that we could stay for some time. I do not think any longer than overnight, but should be off on our way latest dawn.
I think you see Edelwolf look to the hearth. I'm curious, Selma. How did you feel when the Bondsmagi took you in?
Well, I did not have much of a family or home before. Myself and older sister. So, opportunities, as you said.
He looks back at the hearth. The Bondsmagi are many things, but to me they are not home. We can leave in the morning.
Are you happy with the scene?
Yeah, I don't draw a problem.
Whee!
Oh, great! I mean, this is a great time to get it. The path erased. If the spell fails, all participating players must discard a location card.
Whoops.
Oh, Shit. I mean, it just needs to not fail, so we need to not contribute a hindering word. So we're fine. What is the problem here? I think, ooh. I think what this is in the night, when we're asleep, one of us, or maybe both of us, dreams of being chased, this time through Harrow's Hall, by that shadowy figure, and we awake simultaneously, and even though we're awake, we still hear his voice. And we can hear, like, the scraping of his fingernails against the wood of the walls here in the hall, and we know that we need to run now.
Cool.
But not only do we need to run, I think instead of the path erased being the path that we're taking ahead of us, or our own past being erased, I think this is we are trying to erase our past. Our path. We're trying to cover our tracks and get away.
Interesting. Okay, well, I have Distati, which is Dispel.
Oh shit, that's good. I have Tarnish, which I could see. I also have Unravel, which could potentially work.
Yeah.
And yours is
Dispel.
Dispel. I think I'm gonna go with Tarnish. I'm gonna go with Tarnish and Dispel, I think. Erode our path and then destroy it completely is sort of what I'm getting at. So, as we gather our things and rush out of the rooms where we were staying, we can actually see him down at the end of the hallway, the sort of darkness billowing up around him. And this is the first time Adolwolf has seen him in the waking world. Is this the first time for Selma as well?
I would imagine so, yeah.
So we see him, and there's a brief moment where Adolwolf tries to cast like some fireball down the hallway, and it does absolutely nothing to him and just lights the like log walls of the hall on fire. And we just have to run, and we rush down the stairs, and we can see the darkness pooling up against the walls like rushing water almost, and then pouring down after us. And in a moment of desperation, I think we both turn and chant a protective incantation and shout out, "Ezer Destati!" And let's see how we do. Oh! Get fucked, Shadow Man!
Yes, yes.
We both shout, "Ezer Destati!" And there's a rush and and we're standing some like hundreds of meters distant, we can see Harrow's Hall burning for a moment, and then it grows hazy, and then it just sort of swirls and is gone as we have erased the hall from existence.
Oops, sorry, Harrow.
Are you all right?
Yes, that was quite interesting.
I don't know that I would put it that way.
I do not know what it means if the nightmare creature is out here
It means we must walk faster.
Well, we're leaving before dawn.
That we are. And I think there's a scrap of like spell book that flutters on the air that was displaced by our sudden teleportation, and Adawolf doesn't notice it, but you can catch it and hold on to it. And I am gifting you Ezur, which means tarnish.
Cool.
All right, your turn.
Yeah. The Fey Isles.
Ooh. Dreams of another
journey. Okay. So, as we make our way down from the mountainous regions, now further away from the fjord and actually closer to the water, although Cape Symbol can be seen kind of far in the distance, here, we know we have to cross, and we see a series of small islands of some form. Very small. You can kind of see each one placed against each other. That kind of forms a land bridge, but it's greener than most of the places around here, filled with foliage that seems not quite ours. And I think as we start to hop across the rocks and through each of these inlets, we see little, perhaps sparks of light, almost will-o-wisps once in a while, and it dart between trees, leaves, and turns dreamy of another journey. I think for a moment, as we're walking through, it's getting into about twilight, or perhaps what seems to be twilight, it's hard to tell. As we're walking, we see a group out of the corner of our eyes of 3 figures walking. All right, we're just gonna go to it because from dust. They looks like for a moment, a very colorfully dressed elven person. Another is a bulky human man, perhaps. And there's a slighter elfin, at least some elfin heritage. Man. But they're kind of like always at the corner of your eyes, and you can't quite catch them if you turn to see. But the voices that do sort of carry on once in a while, some of those voices sound like words on the whispering winds.
Oh. Like the voices from the fjord are following us.
Yeah.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you wanna draw a problem?
Yeah.
Or do you wanna do some scene stuff?
Let's do a short.
Okay.
So I think it's been they've been walking for about like 15 minutes, and they just keep seeing like this, and very like hushed, like kind of I think pulls Adawolf like kind of off to the side, like behind a tree, like in position compared to what they've been seeing. Is that an actual group, or am I just imagining things?
I think Adawolf looks out past the tree, and doesn't see anything. I do not think so, although perhaps someone is messing with magic they shouldn't be.
This whole place seems quite magic-y.
Could be. Or could be some well-meaning apprentice not paying attention in their instruction and sending their image across the region. I think Adolwolf looks like disappointed. like, ugh, amateurs.
I mean, it would be quite impressive that they send it out this far. I can't see or hear the source anywhere.
It is only impressive if it is on purpose, Selma.
So we're kind of... This feels like spying or voyeurism. Then.
Well, it doesn't. If an idiot goes out in the street and starts screaming, you're not eavesdropping for hearing.
Suppose we just keep going. Yeah, let's try that problem.
Da 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 da.
Oh! A voice not long gone.
Ooh, the current player may reuse a word.
Okay. Oh, shit. So we've been hearing snippets of words, and again, it may be the whispers following us, and maybe this image projected. Most of the time, you can't recognize the voices that are in the whispers. We just kind of refer to them as the whispers.
Mm-hmm.
But as they continue further in, I think both Idawolf and Selma hear voices that are familiar to them from their family.
Ooh.
That seems to be kind of drawing them not along the pathway they've been going, but deeper into this Fey forest.
Okay. What is the problem then?
I think the problem is that we feel drawn to go this direction, where before we had clearly tried to avoid going there, perhaps because we know that it's dangerous for possible portals and the liminal space between this realm and the Fey realms are very thin.
Yeah, and I think Adolwolf thinks this is some kind of like mystical or potentially demonic trickery. Like this is some creature that is trying to lure us so that it can eat us.
Yeah.
I want to contribute Undune, which means unravel, and I want to destroy the forest.
Jesus Christ. I would like to... Let's try Kefris Purify. Try to remove this influence from this place.
Okay. I think your word might go first.
Yeah. So purify and then unravel.
And then just turn it into tan bark.
Yeah, so I think as the two of them feel this magical pull deeper into these aisles, I think Selma places a hand on Edwolf, almost both to check to make sure he won't go forward, but also as kind of a check for her, so that she won't be tempted to continue forth. And she'll flip open the spell book and she'll say, Kefris Anden. And let's see how that goes. Yay!
Hey! God, we are good Bondsmagi.
Yeah. So I think we watch as that the voices of our family start to warp almost a bit.
Mhm.
So they no longer sound like a family, and rather sound like kind of a chorus of chittering, high pitched voices of perhaps pixies or something. As they, for one moment, they're there and then they are gone. At the same time, he watches the forest seems to ungrow. Not like decay has taken over or that it's growing, it just starts to undo itself. And we see like vines peel off of tree trunks, and we see leaves start to shrink into themselves and then back into the branches, which then shrink downwards and into just roots. And we watch as this place of magical greenery is just turned into sandy isles. Well, that was quite interesting.
You say that frequently.
I mean, the world is interesting.
The world is dangerous.
Which makes it interesting sometimes.
If only I had your optimism.
And I think she pats him on the shoulder. And I think she looks to see a scrap. A spellbook I'm gonna gift Unravel back to you.
Okay. Yeah. Edawolf will take it and just tuck it back into his coat. And yeah. Alright. I think that's a good place for us to take our first break. We're at the top of an hour. So go ahead and take the Fey Isles card. We are going to step away for a moment, refill on water, stretch our legs, do that stuff. I recommend you do the same. And when we get back, we will see what new dangers our Bondsmagi walk into next. See you soon. Hello and welcome back to From Dust. Alright, it is it my turn? Whose turn is it?
It is your turn.
It's my turn. Alright, where are we going?
Where are we going?
What horrible place am I taking us to next? We are going to the Celestial Caverns, a dangerous mistake. Ooh. So I think we've been traveling for a couple weeks now, and we've found our way into, we found our way into these caverns. We heard some local rumors of strange happenings in this cave system, and so we decided to investigate it to see if there was anything interesting there. But, oh gosh, what is it? A dangerous mistake. I think it's not actually caverns. I think it's an old Eldrin ruin. Which, like, it's got these caverns above, but we realize pretty quickly as we come upon the Eldrin architecture that this is ancient, this is an ancient structure. And when we step into the structure itself, when we enter this ruin, a heavy stone door slams shut behind us, and it is that same stone, same structural material that is so hard to damage. And so, like, this door slams down, and Adawolf turns and is trying to, like, enchant it to rise back up, and comes to nothing and just curses It looks like we will have to find another way out.
Look that way, or we have to find mechanism that makes this door do its thing.
It is
Either way.
It is assuming it is a mechanism we can operate, and it is not meant just for the Aldrin. They were not particularly fond of our kind.
That is true. Either way, it seems like we'll have to just explore a little more. See what is around here.
Adolf looks at like the eerie teal lights along the wall. Joy of Joyce. This is well, he pulls down his pack. At least we have food. He hands you a piece of bread and starts eating as he walks.
Yeah, she'll start tearing off pieces and kind of looking around. Yes, it's not much gloomier than the basements.
Well, there is at least consistent lighting. I will give it that.
And she'll actually go up to one of the lights and kind of like look at it. Yeah. It's not like you can blow them out like the lanterns.
Would you say that it is interesting?
Yes, I would. Except you've already said it, so I don't need to say it.
And then a problem happens.
Whee!
The haunting past.
Oh, God.
Ooh. So I think we're walking through, with, Adolf just sort of, like, looking, like, where is another door we can go down? What's another hallway? Where does this branch? And trying to find things out. And Selma, like, actually picking things up and looking at them and checking, and then, a voice echoes down one of the hallways we've already been in. And it says, where are you, boy? And Adolf just stops. And there's another pause, and then the voice speaks out again. You can't have gone far. Not with those tiny legs. And that weak magic. And we can hear the voice, like, distorting as it speaks more. And Adolf turns to Selma and says, "Get behind me."
What is this? Are you...
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, and she actually stands beside him.
And we see this hulking, bony shape reach one big crooked arm through a doorway and pull itself into the room, and there's this large, like, 20-foot long, emaciated skeletal shape with a long white beard and two curling horns. And it turns its perfectly black, glassy eyes toward us. It's in like this huge smile curves over its face. Come here. Let me eat you. And I think it's time for some magic.
Yeah, great, cool, fun times. Great.
As this apparition of Adolf's teacher appears.
Yay!
So I want to use guilt to hinder.
Okay. to hinder.
Yeah. Because I don't think he's intending to hinder. I think he's trying to like call upon some latent guilt in the evil of his master. But I think it's actually reflecting his guilt at not noticing what was happening to his teacher until it was too late, and destroying him.
All right, I think Selma's gonna use. I think I want to use Tarnish. Try to destroy this image to show it's not real. It's this kind of it's just an illusion. So just kind of almost taking the things that make it look realistic and just kind of destroy it.
Love it.
Which goes against her whole thing.
All right.
It's fine. She's trying to protect her friend.
Yeah, it's great. What could go wrong? And as the being draws close, I think we each raise our hands to cast a separate spell to try and deal with it. And one like large, long, bony hand reaches toward us, and our voices together cry out, "Thrus Esser!" And I'm gonna roll 1d6 and 1d4.
Okay. Oh my god!
All right. And the hand reaches toward Adolwolf, and you can see like this white hot fire starting to burn over Adolwolf's hands as he tries to summon as much like destructive power as he can. But as you cast this dispelling spell, as you sort of pass the illusion away, the hand just sort of like whisks away like smoke as it gets close to Adolwolf, and the illusion collapses. And the fire in Adolwolf's hands just winks out.
Are you alright? And like Selma's kind of like, I think now shifting in front of him, it's kind of doing like the healer thing, like take your face and just like like tilt it side to side. And
I'm fine. It's nothing. I will be okay.
If you don't mind me asking, what was that?
That is what my master became before I killed him.
Oh.
Those are the words that he said to me while I hid in my closet.
I'm sorry, that must have been scary.
And I think he looks at you and you see something else in his eyes, like maybe you can't quite identify it. But he says, I knew I wasn't alone.
Well, that is good. Not alone now. Stuck with me whether you like it or not.
It is how it goes, isn't it? Look, let us find a way out. And I think there's a moment where like it's ambiguous what he meant by I knew I wasn't alone, but then we hear a whisper after you said, and you're not alone now. There's a sinister whisper that just says, no, you're not. I would like to gift... Tarnish or Guilt. Oh, those are so good.
Those are both very good to give to Sweet Cinnamon Roll.
Oh, fuck. I think Tarnish.
Okay.
Yeah, take Tarnish. It's yours now.
It's mine again. Hooray.
Yes. Alright, I will take this location card. We can move on.
Alright. Where are we going next? Come on, roll 20. The Dread Forest. What do we share? Okay, that's interesting. So as we finally find a way out to perhaps a emergency exit tunnel essentially from this place, which had long been revealed by time and the elements, we have to kind of crawl our way out, and as we do, we find ourselves in a forest. But instead of like the vibrant greens that were part of the Fey Isles, or even just kind of like the general darker tones and more earthy tones of our foliage from our home, this is as if each one had been made out of obsidian.
Ooh.
They have a slight gleam to them as the light hits, as if they had been turned into obsidian to their very place. And unlike our home, this is incredibly quiet. Almost completely silent other than the sound of our footsteps along the dirt. Which, after years of voices, is incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, you don't say.
So what we share right now is this moment of just pure silence. That's very awkward. Alright, I can hear my heartbeat right now. This is very weird.
It is, well, it could be worse.
I would normally say this is interesting, but I am currently more weirded out than anything.
Is it really that bad?
I mean, noise has always been normal. You know, I was in the city before, and then up by the whispers, and always had like almost background at this point. And now there is no background. I can hear my breathing. That is weird.
I think we see sort of a mournful look on Ada Wolf's face when you say there is no background. It says, I can see how that would be disconcerting. Perhaps we should talk.
You haven't been very talkative. Usually I start a conversation and then you have maybe yes or no. Maybe a few more words after that.
You will forgive me, most of my studying has been in the arcane arts and not in talking.
Oh, they're both words.
I suppose that's true. But with magic, it is a conversation where you demand what you need, and then the world gives it back. People are not like that.
Sometimes you ask nicely.
I think we see some motes of fire hover over one hand, and he says, I am not accustomed to asking nicely.
It really gets you quite far.
Does it?
It can.
Well then, Selma, please, tell me what it was like you came from.
And she'll actually pause and like take a moment to think about that.
I see you enjoy the silence much more now.
It's very funny. I was trying to think of an answer. Don't. And like what most people think, I just don't run off my words with no thought. I see that raised brow. It is a city a little more south of here, on the main. That's not quite sanctuary, but close. Busy, always busy. Couple streets, lots of people walking by at all hours, or carts with horses, and sounds of them across the stones. You can sometimes hear many a shout, snippets of conversation. The eavesdropping is not a thing, as you said, an idiot in the street yelling. It's not eavesdropping. Same situation, I suppose. My sister and I had a very small place to ourselves. Didn't know my parents. It's just her and I, and she often was out doing things and making sure that we had enough to eat, and I helped out as much as I could. Spent a lot of time in the marketplace.
And what sort of things did you do there, pray
It
tell?
is mostly small errands, we need to send messages, or, sometimes just picking up what people dropped.
So you were a thief?
Not all the time, no.
Well, if nothing else, I'm happy that the bond could give you something better to do with your life.
Who knows, I could have been a world-class thief or something. I had enough time.
I think we both know that with your gift, by now you would just be dead.
Well, that is always a possibility with what we have. And I think she's about to ask about Idolwolf's family. When what happens? Oh, a wedding.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
America, explain.
When the okay.
I mean, feel free to interpret as loosely as you like.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Oh, I love weddings. Thank you. Wedding in the middle of the Dread Forest. It's totally normal, fine weddings.
It's the kind of thing my parents would have done.
I think we get to a clearing within the forest, but almost purposely so, as if there's a very purposeful circle that had been set in the middle of this forest. And as we step into it, for the first time, the trees shift. And they kind of bend in towards each other to create a circle that there is no escape from currently. And I think in the center of this we see a few stones that have been scattered about with certain runes and writings on them. And as we read, it says, to continue along the path, two opposing forces must unite. The problem is we're trapped here. Only thing that will get us going or forward is, well, what this place demands is of something being two opposing forces being united.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Well, I have soul, sacrifice, bargain, and unravel.
Oh, funny enough, I still have rap.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Okay. Then I think those can be our words.
Yeah. So this is interesting because they're both working together, despite being very different words.
Yeah. Is it rap and unravel then?
Yeah, I guess so. Come on. Yeah, so I think probably Selma reads this out loud and just like raises a brow.
Shall we fight?
This is very odd. I suppose so.
I will do my best not to kill you then.
Thank you, I greatly appreciate it. Not like I was intentionally going to try to kill you either. And she'll pull like the scrap and just kind of almost like throw it into the air. She extends her hand. And I think at the same time as Idol reveals his word too. And they both speak at the same time, kind of on top of each other. Let's see. Pew!
Oof.
Partial success.
Our first one.
Yeah. Look at us go.
Alright. If no dice show their highest number, the spell is weak and only partially effective. Describe how the problem is solved, but only partially or temporarily.
Ooh. Oh, this is... Okay. So as these two opposing magic forces meet on top of the circle, we see the circle of rocks, the instructions, almost collapse in and then stretch themselves out. It's this very trippy situation that the two forces attempt to try to pull each other, but rather than uniting, they seem to be clashing. And we watch as the this kind of what the manifestation of the energy here just collapse in upon itself until there is just nothing in the circle. But we now see a very visible, almost light link between Adewolf and Selma.
Well, that can't be good.
No. I think we should have approached it less from a fighting stance and more uniting. But and she looks over and you see that the trees are starting to unravel themselves. We couldn't continue forward.
And he moves away to see if there's like a physical connection or if it's just
no,
like
there's it doesn't seem like a physical connection, but like there's clearly like
yeah, he's definitely testing it and like he swipes a dagger through it and
yeah, it just passes through.
Well, a problem for another day, I suppose.
It doesn't seem to be harming us. You don't seem too pleased to be stuck with me.
It is, you are not a problem. I do not like being stuck with people.
Well, it seems like this is going to be the way for a little while.
I will make do.
Yeah, and I think they probably keep texting it as they like keep heading on the forest, like
yeah, like whatever. Walking the other side of trees.
Yeah, yeah, all the bullshit. But yay!
Awesome. All right, which word do you want to gift? Wrap or unravel?
Give unravel back to you.
Alright. Sweet.
It's mostly your cards in play now.
I mean... It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, let's see. Where next?
Where next?
We're going to see the wizard. Ooh, Thunder Valley. How we pass the time. I think it's not actually, I don't think Thunder Valley is the name of a place. I think we're just going through a valley when a big storm hits. And we have to set up camp in like a cave. And wait out the storm. And so we're sitting in the mouth of this cave as like this roll of thunder goes by, and Adolwolf is sitting and reading some old musty tome. What is Selma doing?
I think Selma is. I think she's. I know she had a few crafting tools, and I think she's kind of beating something. Like she has like a pocket full of like a pouch full of beads, and then like some thread and like a small, almost like embroidery hoop with fabric, and she's been kind of just beating something.
Eventually he looks up from the book and over at Selma. What is it you're doing?
I think she jumps and like a few of the beads kind of across the ground towards him. Oh, it's something with my hands. Like embroidery, but with beads.
Strange.
And she like kind of shifts around the show, and you can see the beginnings of what looks like to be a crow or some form of black bird across a kind of sunset sky. And it's just, you can see kind of like the drawn outline of some of it, and some of it is actually in beads. And she's saying, if you could help me, and she's like trying to find a way to put it down without like dropping the beads that are on the thread that she hadn't put in yet. She's just like,
yeah, he like looks. I don't think he moves his head. I think he just lowers his eyes to the beads on the floor, and then looks back at you, and then closes the book and sets it down and goes to help you. But there's a long moment, and he helps you. I did not know that you could do this with beads. I've only known of needle and thread, obviously.
It was one of the things that my sister taught me. It was easier to find small beads than many colored threads, and so just, that is also less time consuming. Takes up more. Beads take up more space than needle stitching.
I suppose that makes sense. And he, like, drops a handful of beads into whatever receptacle you have for them. Do you, have you spoken to her since you became bonded?
No, not so much. She did not particularly like the idea.
Did she think you had a choice?
She thought so, but I could keep it quiet. Keep it hidden, not use it.
Perhaps I am wrong, but I do not think... I do not think when the Eltrin made us and gave us magic that they gave us much of a choice about whether we used it or not.
Well, we could make choices on how we use it. I suppose whether we use it or not, it's just a type of that kind of choice. And, what about your family?
I have not spoken with them, no. I did not leave on good circumstances.
Do you miss them?
I think he looks into the fire instead of at Selma. I do. But they are gone now, so who does not miss those that are gone?
I suppose so.
While we are here and waiting, he picks up the book I have been reading, and I might have a solution to... He looks down at, like, the glowing tether. This. So, if you are not opposed...
I mean, it clearly makes you uncomfortable, so I'd rather you be a little more at ease as much as a skittish cat can be.
He just, like, gives you a look at that comparison, and then shakes his head. Then let us begin. And I'm gonna draw a problem.
Oh.
A game between giants. Ooh. How does this...
How did this work into the magic? Weird
Yeah.
thread of kind of a thread of fate happening here. It is made out of light and dark magic.
Yeah. Um, what do I want this to be? A game between giants. Um, I think he goes to start working on this, and he's drawing diagrams in chalk on the ground, which is not usually how you do magic. Um, so that might make Selma a little suspicious. But as he's about halfway through that, there's a loud crash and a rumble, and it's not the thunder, as a giant smashes into the entrance to the cave that we're in. And there is a wrestling match between two giants happening essentially on top of us. I think the problem here is that we are, like, maybe not going to be crushed, but we are going to be harmed in some way. It affects us, and the reason it can only be solved with magic is because they're fucking huge. So, what words do I have? Soul, sacrifice, bargain, and unravel.
Ugh, I don't know if I have words. I have mend, alchemy, heal, and tarnish.
Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. I want to use Tiz, which is soul, and I would like to kill the giants.
What?
Adolf's a nice guy. Would you like to contribute a word? I think clearly, like, he turns and he sees this, and he begins casting some kind of deadly magic. Would you like to help or hinder? Either one?
I think she wants to hinder.
Okay.
And I think heal. And not, like, in a physical sense, but to heal whatever's going on here.
All right.
Whatever had started, like, this confrontation, or, you know, what's going on with her buddy over here.
Yeah. Adolf turns when this happens and, like, shields his face from the shards of rock, and then raises both of his hands and begins chanting under his breath. And I think he's maybe further back in the cave from you, and so you can see both of his eyes just turn jet black as he's chanting. And he reaches out and hisses, "Tis!" But then you interject with Drie, and... Oh!
The spell fails.
Alright, if none of the dice rolls a 6, but one of the 4-sided dice shows a 4, the spell fails, and one of the sabotaging players, that would be you, describes how the magic goes awry.
So, Selma sees this whole, like, dark jet black, which is not normal. And I think in her studies, it's kind of like, that's an indicator something wrong happening here. And so, as she sees this word use his lip, she, as she speaks Drie, she is almost like, as if using the thread between them, blocks the magic there.
Is there like this wall that forms in the cage, or the cave between them?
Yeah, essentially. And I think it's enough of a light that it startled the giants, at least,
Mm-hmm.
into noticing that there's something down here right by
Right.
their feet. So they've stopped looking like they're going to accidentally hurt us. But we definitely caught their attention. And there's almost like a using that thread at almost all.
Yeah. Ada Wolf, as he finishes casting this magic, it reaches out as this like silvery gray, sharp shape that splinters against like this golden barrier between them, and rains down small shards that like cut against Adolwolf as they like splash back and ricochet. And he looks at you, his eyes still all black. Why did you do that?
You were going to. What is. Things wrong.
What is wrong is that you stopped me. We are supposed to be working together somewhere.
We are not supposed to be doing overt harm, not to others, but also to ourselves. What?
A Bondsmagi does what they must.
Not the risk of their soul. Even against what the Bondsmagi are supposed to.
He looks out at the giants, and I think maybe they're leaving.
Yeah, they're doing the awkward
They're like, oh, Bondsmagi, never mind.
Yeah.
And he says, there is no law in any land that is greater than us.
But there is value to lives, souls, night.
I suppose we just see things differently.
And I think they're seeing each other through the. Yeah. No, clearly I didn't know you as much as I thought I was getting to know you.
Well,
And she'll start walking away, starting to grab her things, and the walls kind of shrinks back up to a thread.
he walks back to where the book was like thrown hastily to the side and picks it up, dusts it off. You know me now.
I do not know if I like it.
Well, perhaps it will hearten you to know that the Order does not need us to like each other. We just need to get this done.
Yeah. And she'll just doesn't even respond as she finishes packing her stuff and starts walking out, knowing that the thread's not gonna stop them.
Great fun!
Whee!
um,
Great fun times.
I'm giving you tis.
Great!
Take soul. Have it.
It's mine now.
It's yours. And I will take this. We are at the top of an hour. I think this is a good time for us to take another break. Step away, and when we come back, we will see just how evil it... No, we will see what what strange shenanigans we get into next. See you in a little bit. Hello and welcome back to From Dust, where it is your turn now, I believe?
It is my turn now. Let us see where we go. Fracture! Forbidden magic! Huh?
Woo! Okay.
This is fun. Okay. So after leaving the valley, I think the incline rises upwards, as we get out of this valley and now onto the top of kind of rocky space. And as we do, I think they're walking on either side of this like kind of hairline crack.
Mm-hmm.
But as they continue forth, they end up almost having to walk on either side of this quickly growing fissure.
Mm-hmm.
And if they look down, they can see the remnants of perhaps a town at some point that had fallen into this place, but it's not. It's unusual because they're almost as if shadow stains them, perhaps in soot or something magic. And so they're probably like, 20 feet apart from each other,
Mm-hmm.
now on either side of this, as they peer into. And there's both that kind of feeling of like dark magic had taken place here at some point. So I think Selma is like trying not to stare at Idolwolf, but it's not hiding it very well.
Yeah, I think Adolf is like looking down into the crevasse and checking, like flipping through his books, then looking down, and then he looks up. Yes?
I was just nothing.
It does not seem like nothing.
No. Much as the, possibility of dark magic around. It's kind of as obvious as this crevasse that is between us right now.
Does that concern you?
Just a little bit. Look at what happened to this place.
The only difference between dark magic and the magic that they teach you, and he puts his book back, is how many mistakes you get to make.
It transgresses.
Do you think that our ancestors were particularly concerned about transgressing when they turned against the Eldrin?
Perhaps not. But that is necessity. We do not need to do this anymore.
Selma, our world is falling apart around us. We are moving back to the same place that we were 300 years ago. Individual cities forming their own countries, thinking that they know better than the others. And us, Bondsmagi, we're the same as we have always been. This is not a world that is without necessity.
But we are more well educated, we are more well aware of the consequences of our actions. Besides, can't imagine that the only thing to prevent the apocalypse would be inflicting more harm upon the world.
You think dark magic is harm upon the world?
She just looks back down the fractured earth.
The stone seems fine to me. It is the people I would worry about.
Are they not part of this world either?
Not anymore. And besides, they ran out of mistakes to make.
And I hope you are wiser than they are.
He smiles at that, and I think it's a genuine smile. As do I.
Yeah. I think for a second she almost instinctively returns the smile before she tried to shut down that.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Seems like the fracture closes a bit further up ahead.
And?
The council's divided?
Ooh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What does that mean in this place? Okay. So I think as walk towards where the earth closes itself, it's a distance away, and as we get closer, we see there is perhaps one last building that hadn't fallen into it, but that same sooty black whatever coats it. And within, we see, because the door is open, we see a circular table on which there are figures, though they are starting to take on, perhaps, you can see the bone structure slightly morphed, as if something is inside of them shifting, where their elbows placed or their shoulder blades should be. Others seem to have like almost out of crawling up the neck, tendrils of black as their skin starts to be taking over. And both, I think both Adewolf and Selma are very aware that these are people on the verge of transforming into demons. And they seem to be arguing with each other.
Oh no.
Okay.
I have sacrifice.
Fuck me, alright.
Um, what would you like to do?
I think right now oh god, because we've kind of Selma has been trying to be like, dark magic is bad,
Mm-hmm.
and what I do is better. Um, she wants to at least heal them in a way so that they're not going to immediately turn onto them. So perhaps not permanently, but just like you know, as if to quell the demon within them that's trying to come out.
Mm-hmm. That would be some big magic.
Yep,
I'm gonna hinder. I'm gonna
of course you are.
hinder with Cimarron, which means sacrifice.
Whee! Um, I'm going to use soul as I attempt to almost go more to their human souls or
Mm-hmm.
non-demon souls and speak to them to try to bring that out.
Nice.
Yep, so on either side of this fracture, as this is happening, it's almost about to close, but at this one remaining building of this town that had been overridden by dark magic.
Yeah.
And I think as they meet here, the heads of the council starts to turn towards them, their eyes dark, and Selma will hold up both of her hands, and just as if to try to speak to their who they were before they'd become this. Tis, and I imagine that Adolf.
Yeah, Adolf like holds up one hand and with a voice that sounds like fire says, Cimarron. And he's just gonna try and burn the whole place up.
Go.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Okay. So you get some of what you want. Your spell works, but only partially or temporarily.
Okay. I think for a second she thinks she might be getting to them. You see a few of her kind of blink as if, they're trying to blink away the darkness that's clouding their eyes. But as Adolf speaks sacrifice and attempts to burn this place, it instead kind of morphs into a flashbang almost.
Mm-hmm.
So it stalls them in a way, not in the way that she wanted them to be stalled.
Right.
And she just looks over at Adolf. Come on, and we'll grab his arm and just.
So, we are to just leave them to their mistakes then?
I cannot imagine they are happy after whatever that was.
Very well. And he follows after. Which word would you like to give? Would you like to give me soul or sacrifice?
Which of the...
Hello and welcome to Sophie's Choice.
Let's give soul back to you.
Alright, 'tis it is. Take card. You get to keep fracture And then actually, I totally forgot
Yep.
that you get to look at the problem deck.
Ooh, I do.
When you succeed at sabotaging, you get to look at the top card and decide if it's going to be the next card or if we're going to skip it.
Cool.
So go ahead and draw the top of the problem card, or the problem deck, and
Yep, that's going away.
that is the second time that's shown up after a hinder and been chucked away.
Yep, goodbye. Don't
will
need a hungering
We
fog.
will never play the Hungering Fog. Alright, go ahead and take Fracture.
Okay. We were just like, nope.
Alright. And we get God's Fall Canyon, the Slayer's Sword. Ooh. So we've gone far to the south now, down by the desert, and there's this canyon where rumors say one of the first, now that the knowledge coming out of the Reformation is common knowledge, rumors and myths once said that a god fell here, but now say this was a place where humanity rose up against the Aldren and first slew them. And I think as we're walking through this canyon, we come upon a sword embedded in the ground, just like in the center of the path. That is this bright, shining, silvery metal, and it looks like it was brand new, just forged, and placed here in the canyon. Edelwolf walks up to it and puts a hand on it as if to pull it from the ground. What does someone do?
I think someone will follow. Like, are you sure? I mean, it is very interesting, but also very, very weird.
Well, if it has been here for so long, perhaps it will be useful to us.
Don't you normally refer to your book about these types of things?
I suppose I could, if it would make you more comfortable.
You've just done it for almost every other thing that's been on our pathway.
And he looks down at the sword, and there's a look of recognition, like he already knows what this sword is. And he nods and pulls out the book and makes a show of flipping through.
Yes. I think she rolls her eyes at that and being like, if you know what it is, you could just enlighten me instead of doing this.
He closes the book and puts it away. This sword was made from a star.
Star?
One that fell from the sky.
Very interesting. And she'll like lean down to examine it closer.
Yeah, I think the blade is pretty standard and not surprising, but like the handle and the cross guard is all this weirdly organic looking design, like almost looks like some mass of living flesh, but is molded out of the same metal. Are you satisfied?
Yes, I suppose so.
Well then. And he's gonna try and draw the sword.
We'll
We'll see. How How few remain? Ooh. Ooh. Interesting. He touches the sword, and this sword is rare, obviously. But when he touches it, his eyes roll back into his head. And his mouth moves and a voice comes out of it that isn't quite his. And it's not saying words in a language that you recognize. And it's just this constant stream of consciousness, flow of words. The problem is that in making contact with this sword, he has also made contact with something beyond. It is obviously affecting him and can only be stopped. This connection can only be severed with magic. And I don't think I'm going to contribute a word to this one.
Yeah, that feels right. Well, I have tarnish. So I think she's just going to place her hand onto his, where it's touching the sword. And she just wants to tarnish the part of it that he's touching. And the strange magic of it. She doesn't want to destroy the sword. She just wants to, whatever he's touching, that's connecting him to whatever this is. Yeah.
Yeah, so you do that, and he was just sort of looking off into the middle distance, and when you put a hand on his, he turns and makes like milky white eye contact with you, and then from his mouth, your voice speaks, Ezer.
Oh, that's trippy.
Let's see how it goes.
Partial success.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, so you hear your voice call back to you before you can say anything. And then he draws the sword from the ground. And still speaking in this stream of consciousness, he raises the blade up toward you. What do you do?
Definitely backing away and just be like, Idawolf, can you hear me?
And he advances toward you as you back away, sort of like matching pace, until you reach the wall of the canyon.
Idawolf, it's... Come on. You can snap out of whatever this is.
And when he is like a centimeter, like the tip of the sword is a centimeter from Selma's chest, he stops, and his eyes roll forward and he blinks.
I think you see someone just like collapse out of relief.
Interesting.
Now you say it.
What? Oh. Sorry, I must have gotten lost in thought.
You were possessed or something.
Was I?
Not like the other thing.
Well, I suppose I will have to be more careful with this in the future. And he conjures up a sheath for it.
Yeah.
Puts it at his side. Holds out a hand to help you back up off the ground.
Yeah, she hesitates, but takes it.
And I think when you touch his hand, you hear a pair of whispers. One that is that voice that was coming from him, that alien tongue, and the other is a sinister voice that says, "You can't trust him." And yeah.
Whee! That's great.
Ezra was yours?
Yeah.
Mine. Yours?
Well, it was yours originally.
Okay. We'll put it there. Now if you remain goes here. I get to keep God's Fall Canyon. Where do you take us to next, Selma?
Where do we go? We're gonna go to, oh god, Spill Song Ravine.
Ooh,
What's
more
missing?
Canyon times. What's missing? What's missing, Selma? I don't. Huh.
I don't know. It's just we're totally normal, well-adjusted people.
Yeah.
I think so. As we have left this place in the canyon, it opens up to a dry bed ravine.
Mm-hmm.
As clearly, this canyon, some ages ago, may have been the source of this ravine, this river. There is still the earth underneath the rocks is still damp, hinting that there's still traces of water beneath, but it is no longer what perhaps force of nature it was. And as we pass through, I think we hear whispers once more of fjords that have been kind of following us as we go through. But now it's kind of woven in with songs of birds that's kind of flit above us, perhaps from the trees that exist on top of the cliff faces.
Mm-hmm.
But even as they all echo to try to be soothing, think the whispers that echo against these stone walls, snippets of their own conversations from their past journey, comes back to them. Of the little moments that they've kind of perhaps bonded, or perhaps made progress in understanding each other. But bass, alongside the bird sound, starts to get drowned out by the sounds of perhaps whispers that same "can't trust him," and other bits and pieces like that. As what is missing is a sense of trust between them.
Yay! Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
All right, are you satisfied?
I'm not sure. And I think Selma, is just kind of like, we'll do doing the thing of like staring at somebody, but like trying to pretend that they're not.
Yeah, I think notably this time, Ada Wolf doesn't react to it.
Yeah. And I think as they walk among this, what problem shows up? Let's see. Oh god, fading wards.
One word must be restorative or protective. Well, fortunately, that's covered.
I'm restorative.
All right.
So, I think as we continue through, we delve in deeper, and like the walls of this ravine get taller and taller, and suddenly we come across a wall that blocks our way, but not only our way, but the water of this place. And there's almost Noah's Ark, or no, Moses, wrong fucking Bible. Moses, right, the passing of the of the water and the sea, you see this wall, but the words and runes that keep it in place are kind of visibly starting to flicker out.
Great!
So, we need magic because we need some way to either get out of here or strengthen thing.
Right.
Or we're going to drown.
Yeah. I hate to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy. And I'm gonna hinder with Unravel and try and unmake the wards.
Well, cool, because I was gonna use Mend.
Hey! What a pair! What a
pair!
Wonder Twins' powers activate.
This is so bad. Yeah, so I think as they look up to probably 100 feet tall at this point wall, Selma just walks up to it and places her hand, the same hand that's kind of attached to Adolf through that thread, and places her hand and looks up and just under her breath speaks, Callum.
And from behind you, you hear that same creepy, whispery, otherworld voice whisper out, Andun.
Cool.
So go ahead and roll a d6 and a d4.
Yeah.
Ooh. Alright. Okay.
Okay, so partial success.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. So as she has her hand on it and she starts to try to mend this barrier, to keep the water away from it, we see almost a pulse of energy go through the thread that connects the two of them, and it mixes in with her spell.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the whole wall kind of pulse with a kind of mix of the same colored energy between the two of them, and kind of crawl onto each side. And we see that the wall is strengthened,
Mm-hmm.
but the water on the other side starts to unravel.
Ooh. Okay.
And you see it just where there is liquid, it almost as if it unmakes itself. Rather than disappearing to elsewhere, it just kind of almost turns into steam.
Mm-hmm.
That makes this entire place now filled with fog.
Love it.
And I think Sama will like spin around. It will. I do not like the passengers in your brain.
There are no passengers, Selma.
No. Really?
The problem is solved, is it not?
In voices that are not yours.
The voices of magic belong to no one. You cannot tell me that the words that you speak are truly your own. They were taught to you, just the same as mine were.
My voice still belongs to me, though.
Just because it sounds like you doesn't mean it's yours.
Now I never know which one of you is talking. Whether it's the one by the fire, the one that either held a sword to my chest, or the one that tried to kill.
And I think he walks up to you, like uncomfortably close, and looks between your eyes, back and forth. But Selma, you do not know these things about anyone. It is only with me that you are aware of your ignorance.
And I think she actually pushes him back.
Mm-hmm.
Never lied to you once on this journey. I don't put on a face. But it's the hurt that you would think I would.
No one is just one person. Not even you.
Other selves, if there are, I would not say are, in danger.
We shall see.
Yeah, and she walks off. Clearly, keep me a distance.
Woo!
Yay!
Which word would you like to... Which word do you want me to have?
No, just for fun's sake, let's give you mend.
Oh, okay.
Let's see how this goes.
Interesting. I'll take
And
it.
I think it's like I think it's a pulse between the two through the thread.
Mm-hmm.
As Selma truly wants him to be okay
Right.
and fixed. So I don't know how to do that.
Alright. Go ahead and take Sparrow Song Ravine.
Yep.
Oof. Alright. We are going to the mall. Sorry. We're going to the Sea of Mists. Ooh. I think this is another month into our journey. I think we've left the region, right? And headed further south into sort of wilderness in essence. Like, we assume there must be people still alive in the other countries that exist further afield, but there's been no contact with them in ages. So we walk now in this no man's land, this unknown liminal territory. The prompt here is what the waves tell us. Yeah, I think we come upon a shore, right? And there's this thick fog all over. And Edelwolf just walks directly up to the ocean and steps like up to his knees into the waves, and then draws the sword and plunges it into the water.
think someone who hadn't been by the sea is just like is kind of afraid of the ocean. I think it's kind of like keeping her distance. It's like, what are you doing?
I am asking a question.
Right.
We have somewhere we must be. Am I wrong?
You have a place.
And I think you notice that like the waves around Edelwolf aren't crashing in sync with the waves further each direction along the shore. That they're just a little delayed. And you hear that same the alien voice come in the crashing of the waves. And Adolwolf tilts his head. No. We do not seek the king, we seek the source of magic. And these whispers come again. And he shakes his head. No. I do not seek you. Where's the weave? And then the ocean like pulls back away from him and the sword and rises up in this like 20-foot wave and crashes down. And I'm gonna draw a problem. Yeah, the Crypt King's Plague. So this wave crashes down, and I think the tide ends up coming in super far off of that wave, like up to where Selma is. And as it pulls back, you can see Adolwolf standing on the shore as skeletons are pulling themselves out of the sand and grabbing onto him and like trying to pull him down beneath the sand and beneath the waves.
Yeah, and I think Selma starts running. His neck.
Yeah, oh god. I think he turns, and you see this like fight, like his arm that's holding the sword is shaking violently, and one eye is pitch black when he turns to look at you, and he says, "Stay back." And whether you actually do that or not is up to you, but I think it's magic time.
It is magic time.
I want to use bargain.
Oh fuck.
I would like to make a deal with the dark power to get it to stop dragging him down. What would you like to do?
God, I only have one word.
Which word is it?
It's alchemy.
Oh, interesting.
I have a way I think I kind of want to spin this.
Okay.
With alchemy, I think these things were raised through something. They had to be pulled together, created. And she wants to go into the very what makes them and start to transform them.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that tracks.
So I mean, she doesn't want him to make a bargain, which I don't know if she knows that. But she's trying to transform these skeletons into something else. Something super harmless, probably. They just
Right.
just change their alchemical makeup.
I love it. Okay, so, Adolwolf turns back from you toward the ocean, and, the sword, I think, is humming now, and he says, "Wait, I have more to offer." And he begins to like shout this spell. He's like trying to charm this force, I guess. And that pulse runs through the tether. And he says Yarun, and then the pulse hits him, and he says Alka. And and the when he says Alka, the sword dissipates. The sword turns to sand in his hands. But the skeletons stop and hold where they are. And then they turn, like all of them turn to look at you. And Adolf bows his head. All right. I will do it. And then the skeletons sink into the sand. And the waves crash against his knees, in sync again with the rest of the tide. He trudges onto the shore.
I think Selma had kind of got her like her ankles in, and then kind of just like back down into this lake. But before she does, she's kind of like, "You
I will be
are you
okay.
all right?"
I do not think that particular creature is as ingratiated to me as I had hoped.
Made another deal.
I did.
Soon your soul will be in so many fragments. So many benefactors.
Oh. I was asked to give up what I value most. But I think we can agree that it was worth it.
And there's kind of like a flash of something very sad. Let us hope.
And I think I want to give you... Oh, God. Bargain or alchemy?
Alchemy.
Alchemy seems more useful, but bargain seems more interesting, especially given that you would only have one word.
Yeah, I would only have one word.
I'm gonna give you bargain.
Okay.
And take the Sea of Mists. All right. Where to, Capitan?
Let us see. We are going to go the tomb of Layla Glass. Tradition and ceremony.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. So as we get out of the waters and back onto whatever path we're on now, uncharted, I think we traverse through more battlegrounds where these fights beyond just our memories would have taken place. And We see more of the weaponry, though now they're mostly destroyed by time. We haven't seen another one like the Star Sword that we had picked up on our way. But catching the sunlight seems to be a coffin in the center of the battlefield, surrounded by glass pillars with Eldrin writing on them. And I think as we get closer, we can see there is a body lying in this coffin.
Okay. Is it Eldrin?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Ooh. Alright. I think Adolwolf sees this and spits on it.
I feel like that could have been a little more dignified response.
He kicks the coffin, and I'm assuming he can't damage it.
Yeah.
Based on what the Aldrin sort of make. I would have done far worse if I could.
Yeah, and I think she kind of places a hand upon the glass on the top that covers what we see an Eldrin, likely a warrior of some form, that had been buried with all of their weaponry and their armor almost untouched compared to ruins of what we have found on the fields. Interesting.
What?
She looks up to the glass pillars. Appears that this is... I feel like I've heard of something like this before.
And?
Something about Eldrin. Very old traditions. So this is... Would not have expected it to be so well preserved.
Unlike everything else that they have ever made, which has fallen into quick ruin.
Thank you very much for your witty comment. I'm talking more about, and indicates towards the body lying there.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, this kind of ceremony is to keep one alive, deep sleep, that they may pass on information to those who come to recuperate.
Maybe it is time we find a way in.
For once we are on the same page. I wonder if this one knows about what we seek.
I think you see a conflicted moment on his face. I wonder indeed.
You seem unsure.
I do not know that if it does know, it would tell us. After all, what What does the blacksmith feel like he owes the hammer that he crafts?
It has been 300 years. Perhaps this one is the last of their kind.
Longer
What
still
purpose?
for them, but
What purpose do they serve to pass on information if they cannot pass it to somebody? We do not have to pose ourselves as their enemies.
either we are their enemies, or we are their tools. If, as you say, that this thing has been in slumber since the age of its people, for thousands of years, that's the only world that it will know. Either one where we are slaves, or one where we are their killers.
Perhaps this one will think many things have changed. It stands in the ruins of many a fight. Passage of time has clearly made its mark here other than this place. You're still ready to throw your soul away for anything else, but not this. And there's kind of like a bit of like a teasing poke to it.
Yeah, he winces a little at that. Well, I do not share your sunny view, but I will not stand in your way.
Yeah, and she's going to place her hand onto the coffin.
Right,
And let's see
draw a card, and then
yeah, problem card. Dark thoughts given life. Cool.
and we're at the top of an hour. So we're gonna step away for a little bit, and when we come back, we're going to find out what this means. See you soon.
Yep.
Hello and welcome back to From Dust, where dark thoughts are being given life. Kiana, what happens? Kiana, I'm scared.
Okay. So I think as Selma places her hands on the top of the coffin to try to open it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
She looks down into it, and as she starts to push the inside of the coffin itself starts to almost be infiltrated by smoke or something.
Mm-hmm.
Dark smoke that starts to fill until you can't see the body of this Eldrin warrior. But as she just pushed it enough to have a crack open, a hand reaches up through and grabs onto Selma's wrist. And she starts to pull away, but she can't. Looking back at Idolwolf as this is happening. And you can see another hand reach up and pull the lid, the coffin open as if it's no consequence to it.
Wonderful. Alright.
I know what word I'm going to be using. I'm using bargain.
Yeah, you've only got one. So what are you doing with that?
She wants to try to soothe in a way. Just be like, I think you hear her just going, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't. Please, we just wanted to speak. If there's anything I can give you to reassure that. So that's her spin on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna use Tis, which is soul. I'm gonna do the same thing I tried to do to the giants.
Cool. So are you helping or hindering here?
I think I'm helping, but I'm helping in that I want to destroy it. Like I'm helping save you.
Yeah.
Helping solve the problem, but I don't know that I'm helping in the way that Selma would want.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so as this I think it's kind of grabbing onto her wrist where the thread is attached. And for once, I think they can actually feel a physical pull between them, as if it was actually keeping them together.
Right.
And as she's trying to almost try to soothe this thing, again, that kind of pulse between them happens. And almost as if the words kind of fall in upon themselves, not expecting them to meld like that. Oh, fuck me.
Alright. This is going well.
This fails.
Well, I mean, it doesn't fail, it just doesn't...
This is mixed success still.
Yeah, it's you only get a failure if a hindering word is contributed.
Okay. Yep, so she's... Okay, this is gonna be interesting. I think once again there's that kind of thing where perhaps her words are getting to these creatures. Perhaps they're listening. But at the same time, I think we see perhaps it starts to open its mouth to speak. And as it does, that same smoke almost seemed to go in and pull something out from within. As we see Tiz just wrap around and just basically take the smoke and pull this Eldrin soul out. And as we see it starting to come out almost from the bottom up, we see the body of this Eldrin start to fall into ash. Until it's just this mouth that's in this kind of eternal scream.
Great!
Yep. And let's go. And although we never noticed that this place, perhaps it was catching the light in some way, we see all of the glass pillars and the tomb itself turn dark with that same shadowy smoke as dark magic takes its hold.
Are you okay? Did it hurt you?
Yeah, and I think she kind of is shaking out her wrist. No.
Well, I suppose it wasn't as friendly as you had hoped.
think I was getting to it before.
We saw differently.
And she looks up at the now shadowy glass, and how it even then still seems to kind of wisp up into the sky. If this one is not the last of its kind, whatever other one wakes up will know what we did.
Let them know. And let them be afraid.
It had your mark all over it.
And?
They'd come after you, you know.
I do not fear them.
Do you fear much at all?
I do. But it is not time for that yet.
Every time. Is it ever time for you to open up?
I am an open book.
I think I beg to differ on that. What I have seen. Only open up when it's beautiful, like that tome of yours.
Well, maybe you're just not trying hard enough to read. Wasn't it you who told me that asking nicely was powerful?
And I think she turns and she actually takes his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
His hand, the same one that connects the two of them. I do care about you, you know.
And I care about you, Selma.
It is hard to not be afraid.
He pulls away. That is probably for the best.
I don't know where to our next place. Can you tell me a little bit more about your home? Please.
And he nods. He, as we're walking, he says, "I lived on a farm, not far from the desert, just far enough that the soil could support life. It was a small house that we lived in. Just one room for the 5 of us. My parents, my grandfather, myself, my brother. It was simple. We'd wake up in the morning. We would go to make sure that the crops were doing well. We would feed the animals, slaughter what we needed for the day. It was beautiful. But magic isn't meant for beauty, Selma. As much as we try to convince ourselves that it is. Magic destroys. My teacher knew that. And when I demonstrated my magic, he found it useful. I killed my family, Selma. And I think he's looking you dead in the eyes as he says that. I burnt them.
I think she will just gaze a few moments before walking away. I see.
Do you know enough now?
Certainly helps to explain some things. We may make mistakes, but we can always choose what we use it for, what we learn from magic and our misjudgments.
I suppose you're right. Well, insofar as we're given permission.
As far as Bondsmagi are allowed to be. Come on. And I think she kind of like squeezes his shoulder for a moment before letting go. But I think the tie between them now has physical limitations.
Great.
Yep.
Wonderful. Alright, which word do you want to give me?
Let's give you bargain.
Bargain. Alright, that was Jeroen, right? Yeah. Take that. And then we go to... go ahead and take the tomb. Is yours. And... Marsh of the Wizards. Ooh. Okay. What remains? I think this is just some dark, muddy bog. And we're walking along. I think we've been walking sort of in silence for a while now. And as we walk through, we find the signs of a ritual, like a spell that was a ritual spell that was cast quite recently. Well, I don't think that any Bondsmagi would have come this far.
We have.
And how many others do you think were sent on this?
Do not know. They're normally not told. Do you know what this ritual circle is for?
I think he furrows his brow. I do not.
Well. And she kind of narrows her eyes to look at it. Not familiar with all of it. Looks like something with creating something. Same runes used for creating, raising, reassembling.
Well, with our luck, we will be encountering zombies in the next 30 minutes.
Well, we've already dealt with skeletons.
That we have.
When we were there, you said you made a deal.
It was the only way.
One of many ways. One that you chose.
That creature that I spoke to, it was more powerful than me. I could not defeat it or destroy it. It exists, and he looks toward the sky, somewhere out there. What hope did I have but to make a deal?
Can you please tell me what you bargained with it?
It asked for what I value most.
What is that?
Do you know me so little?
I'd like to think not, but I'd like to hear it from you. Please.
I'm gonna draw a problem card.
God. Oh, fuck me.
Jeez.
I don't have any words.
The Lich's corrupting influence. At least one player must contribute a hindering word.
I don't have words.
I do have words,
Yeah.
and it's gonna have to be hindering.
Cool.
So we're gonna hope for a partial success.
Yeah.
Okay!
Bye.
So I think you say, I would like to hear it from you. And then, ooh. And then, we see a figure, an elf, in sort of tattered robe, step from around this tree with like hanging Spanish moss, and raise a hand toward us. And Adolwolf turns, just hisses, "Not now," and turns as you see energy gathering, like magical energy gathering in this person's hands. And their eyes are like burning coals, with like wisping smoke coming off of them. This wizard, this spellcaster, has been possessed and is trying to murderate us. So I'm gonna contribute. What do I have? I have, what was Callum again?
Callum was too many windows open.
Oh, what an interesting word.
Mend.
Mend. Yeah, I think that's appropriate here. He's trying to like heal, like purge the corruption out of this wizard. But in doing so is also empowering them. So we'll see. So he says not now, and then sees that you like don't have any strength left to cast a spell, and just curses under his breath and spits out Callum. And hooray! He steps to the side and steps between you and this elf when he says the word, but the word is awkward. The spell is unfamiliar to him, and so it's slow to cleanse this other spellcaster, and there's a blast of like dark purple energy that strikes Adolwolf in the chest, and throws him back. He rears up, and as like on one hand, and as this spellcaster is beginning to blink free, Adolwolf snaps his fingers and points, and the elf drops dead.
Selma immediately like kind of rushes over, like kneels by him and like takes his face in her hands again to be like, are you all right? Again doing the examination.
And I think there's a rot that's spreading like into his rib cage. It's slow. He's not about to die, but it is debilitating. I will be fine.
It does not look like you'll be fine.
Just, it was a mistake. I should have acted faster.
You don't need to protect me.
Oh? And what were you going to do? Ask him nicely?
Perhaps, but you do not need to endanger yourself for my sake. I think she's like leaning down and like kind of pressing her hand against his chest and like examining the rot.
Yeah, he like tries to make eye contact with you. Selma, they were going to send just you.
I would have done it.
With the dangers we've faced, you wouldn't have made it halfway.
And you suddenly care?
Well, don't let me slow us down. And he, like, gets up. He forms, like, a walking stick magically from one of the branches of the tree and leans on it. I will manage.
We'll have to take a rest.
We're close. I'm sure of it.
All right. And I think she comes a little closer to help support him. I think the thread between them is now only this long.
All right. Take us to our final location.
Okay. Oh my god. Desert of Washed Bones. Why we made this.
Oh god, there's nothing here, is there? Oh great. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens?
So I think we exit from this place, just leaving behind a corpse of a poor rogue magi. And I think the deserts reach. This is the most southern part of it. And as we step into the sands, we see before us, long, quite a distance away, but closer now, a set of buildings, smoky, black. The smell of burning wood and perhaps meat or something reaches our nostrils. And I think as they're stepping, there's a kind of crunch under foot. Look down and see blackened bones. Humanoid. As this at least appears to be Aeolus.
Great.
Yep.
Cool.
How does Aethelwolf react?
I think he's confused. Because we went through the desert, right?
Yep.
We went through the desert. We went into this marsh, like, or not even. We went through the desert. We went off into the wilderness, and now we're on the other, like, the side of the desert that we started from. And so he just looks back at the marsh, and then out at the, like, distantly smoking buildings. I don't understand.
What is it?
This should not be here.
Is this...
No, it can't be. That place is gone, and it was... He looks back the way that we came. Hundreds of miles back. yet here we are. Fitting, I suppose.
And I think she takes his hand, like squeezes it to remind him she's there. Well, come this far.
You have.
Close your eyes if you want to.
I won't. I will face this as I face all my mistakes.
I think she kind of turns herself around so that she's placing herself between him and his view of the farm. You're not alone.
He smiles ruefully. Perhaps it would have been better if I had been, though. For you.
And she'll kind of reach up her hand to touch his cheek, and then goes over to close his eyes. You don't have to do the things that pain you. Trust me, please.
I don't think he says anything, but he doesn't disagree.
And I think at this point she'll step back, still holding onto his hand, and start to guide the both of them to smoking remains. This ranch. I think as they walk through, again, there's still the sound sometimes of bones underneath, buried under sand. Smell is not something they can block out, but Selma is walking at a pace, not too fast. I think she kind of pauses to like let him know that they're coming up onto a step now as they enter into this home. Small. And sitting at the kitchen table, remains of it, is a dark figure with no visible face to it. And I think he would feel her kind of stop and like freeze up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
This is a good time for a problem card.
yeah, good time for a problem card.
All right, go for it.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Oh, fuck me. All right.
Oh, that is so perfect. That's so perfect.
Decay reality.
The
Last spell is repeated.
repeated. If the spell fails,
If the
all words are lost. The last one was a hindering one, wasn't it?
Yup.
Okay.
It was a hindering one with... What
With
did
Callum.
he use? Callum.
It was Callum.
Which is mend.
And I think we see Edelwolf open his eyes and say, as he draws a dagger, "I'm sorry, Soma. was the only way out. I'd asked for what I want. For what I valued most. And then he's gonna try and stab you with the dagger.
Cool.
And I'm gonna roll a d4. Okay. Alright. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, something happens. I don't know. Something about mending creates a partial or temporary solve here. That will fortunately give us another turn, thank God. But you have narrative control here, so.
Yep. And I think there's this kind of dawning realization as he's speaking across Selma's face. And then just like this mix of like a bittersweet smile. And she lets him stab her.
Oh shit. Okay.
And as the dagger sinks into her, and she lets out involuntary to it, I think she wraps her hand around his. You are far from an open book, you know.
I'm sorry.
Could have said something earlier.
Could I? With what we are.
And I think she's gonna take the hand again. Now the threads between them almost forcing their hands to touch at this point. She's gonna like gently pull the dagger out of her and then press his hand to it without the weapon and cast mend through him and into her.
Nice.
And the blood stains their hands. You can see the wound close. Probably not enough to last them the whole journey back, but enough to give them time. Yeah, and she'll kind of rest her forehead on his as she mutters, Callum.
You know which will be coming for us now.
I know. But at least we won't be alone. And I think at this point she kind of like collapses in onto him.
Yeah. And I mean, he obviously isn't doing great either. So
No.
I think they just fall to the floor.
Yeah. And as they do, I think this place just dissipates with the last thing disappearing, that dark figure that I've been watching.
Great.
Whee!
I hate it.
Yep.
Go ahead, take the desert. Take it. It's yours.
Yep.
It's your desert.
It's my desert.
Alright. And now, if I know the deck well enough, the both decks, this is guaranteed our last turn. So, Uh, City of the Elves. Oh my god, this is so perfect. This is also perfect geographically. There was like a huge elven country like way to the south of where From Dust takes place. So this actually works really well. Um, uh, so I think we travel on, both of us injured, um, for several more days, um, until we reach this valley. Right, there's a valley and then a large river, and on the other side we can see a walled city. And it's clearly alive and bustling with activity. There are people there. We can hear the sounds of the city echoing across the water toward us. And he furrows his brow. It's still here.
I guess your books taught you others so. Wise.
I just... This empire was powerful, dangerous. But I assumed if it was still here, it would have come for sanctuary. For everyone. And he looks out, and I think we hear the laughter of children.
Mm-hmm.
This is not at all what I imagined.
And I think kind of just looks at him. Your imagination and understanding of the world has been shaped by much darkness. There is light. Not everything's out to hurt you.
He looks back at sort of the mountain pass that we just came through. I don't want to be a Bondsmagi, Selma. The Eltrin made us and put us to their uses, but how is the Order any different? I was nothing when they found me, and they made me this, but only so they could use me.
We are given the gift of magic. Both the Bondsmagi have they taught us certain ways to use it. I've been bending the rules of it ever since we got in.
I don't want to go back.
I know.
I won't go back.
I know. The question is, Do you want me to stay?
I'm gonna draw a problem card.
Yeah. Whee!
A bargain's
I get mystical
terms. And the only word I have left right now is bargain.
Bargain.
I think the sky goes dark. At first it just seems like a cloud has passed over in front of the sun, but then it just keeps getting darker and darker, like night is falling hours early, and we can see the twinkling of stars above. And Adolwolf just closes his eyes. I do, but you can't. And skeletons start to like crawl out of the ground and pull themselves up. But maybe you can go home.
No. Don't. Edwulf, don't do this.
He looks up, and we see one enormous eye just open in the starscape. And without saying anything else, he says, Haroon. As he offers himself up to the creature beyond the stars. Is this a hindering word or a helping word? Which am I rolling here?
Depends. Are you trying to make a new bargain, or are you trying to shift what's already been done?
I think I'm trying to like shift the terms. Be like, nah, okay, bro. I realized that I said I was gonna kill Selma for you, but I stabbed her and it didn't work. So just take me instead. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think hindering. Because the terms of the deal were pretty simple and explicit. I'm trying to be like, well, actually. So, okay, let's see. Okay. He says Haroon, and as the last bit of sound escapes his mouth, the link between the two of them breaks. And he looks confused because the skeletons aren't stopping. They're continuing to move forward, and he looks down, and feathers are starting to sprout from his legs and like crawl up his body. And he looks at you with two perfectly black eyes and just says, "Oh. One last mistake, I guess." And then Adolwolf is gone. And the demon that inhabited him is free. It goes there, and the problem goes there, and I'm gonna leave this location card where it is. The demon form of Adolwolf snarls inhumanly and turns toward the skeletons as they continue to encroach upon him. And the form like lurches uncomfortably and grows larger, and two large bat-like wings grow out of this feathered humanoid body, and then he launches himself at these undead creatures, tearing into them, turning them to dust. And as that happens, the eye above closes, and the sun comes out, and there is a moment where Selma can turn and walk back the way she came.
I think she looks down at her wrist, hopes to see something there, but doesn't. And she looks at Demon, probably a moment too long. Remember me, please. And she'll turn and walk away.
Okay. So,
Whee!
desert?
Desert. Oh boy. Yeah, so she walks through, and this time it's just a desert. There is no burning building, no smell of things that should not be burned. Just an empty wasteland of still bones underneath her feet, although when she looks down, they're just perhaps animals. And sometimes she'll think that there's something out of the corner of her eye. Dark figure, perhaps. And as she crosses through, the only marker that they had ever been there is a splotch of blood in the sands. And a dagger. She picks it up, wipes it away, and puts it in her belt.
Okay. And then Selma arrives at the Marsh of the Wizards. Alone. The going is rough and treacherous. But you find yourself back at the place where you were attacked. The body of this elf, now partially decayed in the muggy marsh air. What does Selma do?
I think she leans down and grabs marker that is with a magi and just examines it for a moment, putting it in her bag.
Alright.
It's tomb.
Oh yeah.
Yup. So as walk through and see the pillars now of smoke-filled glass leaking up into the skies, before where she felt scared of it and sure. She can feel lingering of elf magic here. It kind of trails her fingers along the glass and the tomb and pulls a bit of the smoke with her. Now lingers about her.
Sweet.
This entire thing is just like, stab! Just
Everything hurts, chat.
everything hurts.
All right, the Sea of Mists. Selma walks along the coast. I think still far from the edge of the ocean, keeping a distance from the water. But the entire time, you can't help but feel like the ocean is watching you. And I think as you pass the point where that confrontation happened, you feel like a twinge in your ribs where the dagger sunk in.
Yeah, looks over to the oceans again, narrows her eyes at it, then continues. Spiros ravine.
Oh, that caption. Oh, uh-huh.
Yup. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Everything's fine. As she walks through again, now, as passing over the barrier that she had fixed, so it holds nothing at this point. And I think she hears voices again. Their voices talking. Ada Wolf's voice. And she just listens to it, trying to put it to memory.
Mm-hmm. And then God's Fall Canyon, that's right. Oh yeah. As you move through the ravine and into the canyon, the path that you know will lead you back out of the desert, you move down sort of the winding pathway carved long ago by long gone waters. And partway through, you come across a sword placed in the ground as if it had never been touched.
I think Selma takes a stick or something and just like hits it out of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Not touching it, because she's like, nope, not touching that bullshit. But
Yeah.
she venting her frustration at it.
Yeah, it like rings out when you hit it, and I think in that tone you can almost hear a voice.
Yeah. And I think for one of the first times she blocks her ears and tries to hear silence.
Fracture.
I think this time, although she can hear the squabbling of these demonic council, she doesn't have to go by it anymore. She doesn't have to worry about another person on the other side, so she just takes a long route to cross. Though she does stop at the edge and look down. And then looks across for a moment. then turns and continues walking.
Yeah, Thunder Valley. All right. I think as you're walking through this valley, it's vastly different from last time you were here. The sun is shining. You can hear birds singing and the sound of other sundry forest creatures in the foothills of these mountains. But as you pass by the cave, you can see its like shattered stone front, and even just faintly you can see the soot from our campfire still inside.
Yeah, and I think she steps in and looks around. And I think she places her hand down and just like passes her hand through the dirt and the soot. And I think she finds a single black bead.
All right.
The Dread Forest. Think time as she walks through these obsidian trees, comes across the circle again. Except now there is a fracture in the middle of it, where the ritual circles had, or the ritual stones had disappeared. And she looks down to her wrist again. Nothing. But in the center of this broken circle, she takes the dagger and places it in the center and watches as the ground starts to heal itself.
Love it.
Whee!
Okay. Celestial Caverns. I think you see the entrance to those caverns, the sort of side, the secondary exit that we used to escape. And maybe there's a brief moment where you consider going back in, but you know there's no way through. And so you walk past, and going around the long way, I think it's striking, because the path moves through a broad, like hilly, grassy area covered in blooming wildflowers that is so different from the dark and gloomy caverns and ruins that we took the first time.
I think she does take a moment to just like lie down in them and just look up. So tired. But she knows that she has to complete her journey. So after however long, she gets back up, continues forth to the Fey Isles.
Whee!
There is no greenery on here anymore.
Sorry.
No Fey magic. But I think even as she walks through, it's darker now. It's twilight. Perhaps it's always twilight here. For a moment, as she's walking back where they came from, sees a flicker. Two figures walking towards her. And walking past her.
And then to Harrow's Hall, the home of happy memories. Harrow's Hall is no more. It ceased to exist when we ran away from it, using our powers to wish it out of reality and cover our tracks. But the glade, where it once stood, where in truth it stood for hundreds of years, is still there. The path that once led up to its front door is still there. The little bits of detritus, discarded tools, childhood toys, still lay in the now long grass.
Yeah, and I think she steps in, looks around, and finds the footprint of the hearth. And kind of just looks at it for a moment. And then she places, I think, a hand on it. One that is kind of wreathed in now this black smoke shadow. And as she pulls away, a fire of not flame, but this darkness now sits there. And I think she makes her way home, right up to the steps of this fortress. The whispers now there, but quieter. And when they finally go to check the front door, I think they just find the trinket from that wizard, her robe, and her own Bondsmagi marker. And there's no trace of her left.
Nice. Okay, when you arrive home, sit in silence. Maintaining the silence, every player writes a short phrase on their card that starts with "my words are" to indicate how their words have changed through sharing. So, I already know what mine is, so just let me know when you're done.
Yep, I already know what it is.
Alright, do you wanna share?
Yeah. And my words are trust.
For Adolwolf, I wrote down, "My words are no more."
Ow.
The game is now over. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
So in our private From Dust chat tonight, Summer was like, "I'm gonna try and watch," and I said, "We'll make it extra sad for you." So
did we?
Oops.
Oops.
But yeah, okay. That was great. And also like really terrible, but also great. We're 30 minutes over. I don't know how this game works. I don't know how this works. Because when I've played it with 3 people, we go for 4 hours plus breaks. I've played it with 4 people, it goes for 4 hours plus breaks. And we just played with 2 people, which means fewer cards, which means fewer turns. And yet, and yet, so I don't know. There's some weird dark magic in the game that means it always goes about 4 hours. Those breaks. All right. Before we head out, let's do some shout-outy stuff. Kiana, tell everyone where they can find you being super awesome. That isn't you.
Yeah, you guys find me over on Twitter at KinaS. Best way to figure out what I'm doing. Come off the internet, do real sociable playing things, whether it's playing games on the stream or writing things or just talking about it. Yeah, and then I'm part of the From Dust crew. We're going on a little bit of hiatus because there's a baby happening.
Curses!
So, so yeah, so we're gonna be a hiatus there, but be around, popping in my face around here. Yep, it's whew. I'm excited to see how this goes in because Selma, it's going to be an interesting NPC if she shows up.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna have to at some point, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Yep.
But she'll be real interesting if and when the party meets her in mainline From Dust. Before I talk about myself, I would like to shout out our missing or absent, I should say, players tonight. Starting with Summer, who you can find on Twitter at justasummerjob and on Twitch at twitch.tv/off_the-table, where she runs and hosts a bunch of amazing games. As Kiana mentioned, she is going on baby hiatus, maternity leave, I guess is what it's technically called, but whatever.
Baby hiatus, that's so
baby
much cooler.
Hiatus. This baby is so powerful it spawned an entire show. Fun Shots exists because Summer's on both of my shows, and this one needs to stop happening for a while. So now we have Fun Shots Season 2. Summer's great. Definitely go check her out. Also, go check out Adam Rowe on Twitter at AdamRoweVO, on Twitch also AdamRoweVO, and on YouTube at Adam Rowe. He actually huge congratulations to him, just hit, I'm gonna get this number wrong, 500 subscribers?
500, I'm pretty sure.
On YouTube, which is fucking bonkers. He rock knows. He does some skit stuff. He does some sort of discussion, like essay type stuff, talking about the social aspects of role playing. He does a bunch of awesome stuff, and you should go check out his YouTube and his Twitter. I'm Dylan. I'm this nerd. You are on my channel. I am Anarsis on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Itch.io, Patreon. If you liked this game and would like to play it for yourself and or by yourself, that is a thing that you can do. Spoken Magic is on Itch.io. I'm going to put the link in chat if I can type this command right. Spoken Magic, not Pokin Magic. You can get it there. It's $5 recommended, $3 minimum for the print and play and individual files versions. Supporting the channel. If you feel like making this channel continue to happen, as I rapidly approach a time in my life where that is going to become much more difficult, you can do so via our Patreon over at patreon.com/Narcissus, where you can support all the creative endeavors that I do. If you specifically want to support this channel and the people on it, bits are a way to do that on Twitch. All of the bits go toward a channel-wide bit goal that, when hit, will have me running a bonus one-shot of Monster of the Week. We already passed 50%, so we are on our way to making that happen. I'm very excited. I'm starting to look into how that's going to happen. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna check the logs because I know we had a bunch of activity that I like only barely looked at because I was focused in on this wild game. But as it loads, there we go. Thank you to Dordox for the follow. Also, hey dude, how you doing? Thank you to Danny Dragonsparks for that huge raid earlier. Thank you, Dordox, for the bits. Basilisk for the bits. Thank you, Starving Subrit, Lauren, for the host. If I remember correctly, there was also a Grant resub at the beginning. Thank you, Werewindle, for the bits, and Rock Just Now. Thank you so much for the bits. Thank you, everyone, for everything that you have done, whether I just shouted it out, whether you're watching this and lurking or you chatted every little bit. Thank you so much. I love doing this. This is my favorite thing to do with my time, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to share it with all of you. So thank you so much, but most importantly, have a wonderful rest of your night.